Mrs. Burns, could you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Sullivan?
Present.
Mr. Feather?
Here.
Mr. Allen?
Present.
Ms. Bowman?
Present.
Ms. Boyle? Mrs. Hollenbeck?
Present.
Mr. Kruvitz?
Here.
Mr. Merrington? Mr. Parentano?
Present.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The board met in executive session this evening prior to this meeting to discuss matters of employment, issues related to labor relations, and matters related to litigation. The district mission statement: the Neshaminy community builds futures by empowering each child to become a productive citizen and a lifelong learner. Mrs. Burns, any announcements?
No announcements.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, Superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, I have to commend and thank our custodial and maintenance and transportation crew for another late snowstorm. We had another two-day event. A lot of work for the district. We're hopeful. We think we heard 60 degrees for Thursday this week. We'd like it to get there and stay there. But we're up to 7 days of absence as a result of the snow closings this winter. This has been the most active season in a long, long time. It actually was the first item on my calendar, update in my report, and just today, I'm saying this for the board members to hear too, because you did see there was an update just this morning, this afternoon, on the calendar. The draft calendar that we had at our last meeting had to be changed because of those 2 additional days, and then today it was found that we do actually need a few more minutes to meet the state's minute and day requirement. We need more time for the elementary, and so elementary calendar has to be adjusted, unfortunately pushing into Monday the 18th. That'll be a half day, so the calendar does change from how it looked like from the last meeting to this one because of the snow, and actually even the one that was originally attached was updated just today. So we now have student last day at the secondary level, 5th through 12th grade, well 5th through 11th grade, would be Friday. There's 3 half days leading into that Friday, the 15th. The elementary school, half day on Friday, half day on Monday. Our teachers have 7 days at it onto their schedule, and so they will go all the way to Monday the 25th, and that's the exciting revised calendar update. A couple other comments and other updates from school happenings include some elementary fun at Buck Elementary. Sometimes you see things happening in the elementary schools and you don't necessarily equate to how they connect perfectly with our educational program, but our students at Buck were involved with a zoo event, students creating animal dioramas, hallways being converted, but the real purpose was also for them to express themselves verbally, such an important skill today, and so there was ongoing opportunities for them to interact with fellow classmates and to describe the work that they've done, and also to parents who came through to tour the zoo. So that was a fun activity. Likewise, our students get involved across the district in Jump Rope for Heart. All of our elementary schools, many of our schools participate in that, but Schweitzer was referenced especially because they were able to double their total from last year, raising $5,500 for the event. Again, across, in case you forget and you've been away from your math education for a while, many of our schools celebrated this month Pi Day, Pi 3.14, March 14th. And all, that's cute, isn't it, for math people? And so in many of our schools, you'll see special activities are centered around the Pi Day event, and Sandburg was one of those schools. It was referenced here, but we should say it again. It was, I think, at the tail end of our meeting last time, just how well this middle school here has done with their Coaches versus Cancer event. This year, raising $15,000 and a wonderful opportunity to bring in the districts together with middle school basketball games, but the purpose to be to raise money for cancer research. Another community engagement activity over at Pequesson in the music department. We went last year to the College of New Jersey and interacted with a college professor there. This year, Dr. Gary Feinberg came to our Pequesson school and worked with our students. Just a great opportunity, extra effort on the part of our music instructors to make sure our students are having those extra opportunities to hear from others in the field. High school student Dylan Beagle was honored recently at Middletown Township meeting for a park bench that she built in memory of a Maple Point middle school student, Patrick Gannon. We want to congratulate her for the good work that she did in the building of that bench. It's located in Detective Christopher Jones Memorial Park. Reminder to the community, STEAM Expo, that will be April 19th, Thursday night, 6:30 to 8:30. The event's held at the high school. All are invited to come out. The event's especially for kindergarten through 6th grade students. Exciting hands-on activities and demonstration of STEAM projects. And then finally, congratulations to the Bucks County Music Educator Festival participants. We had both middle school and high school students participate this year. The event was held at the William Tennant High School. Congratulations to all. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to our first public comment period. I just want to note that right after this, there'll be a hearing on the Matt's proposed charter. So if you have any comments regarding that, save it till after that hearing or as part of that hearing. So, Mrs. Burns, anyone signed up for the first period?
Robert Lappel.
Good evening. My name is Robert Lannon. I live in Feasterville, and I'm semi-retired. I've lived in this district for over 50 years, and I've worked for the Neshaminy School District for quite a few years also. The main topic that I'm concerned about is to support the people that I work with in this district for quite a few number of years. And even though I'm retired, I still have connections to some of these people. And as far as outsourcing goes, I think you're making a terrible mistake. This district for years has had a policy or trend to outsource. And that's been starting from the top level, superintendents, all the way down. The superintendents were here on sort of like a revolving door for a period of time. Now, I have no objection to anyone that has the qualifications to do the job in our district. But from my standpoint, being a resident here, owning a home and so forth, I think that first of all should be done for the people that live within our district. Now, I've watched a lot of these substitute drivers or whatever you want to call them, the contractors, and I'm going to question some of their habits and the way that they conduct themselves in our buses. They represent Neshaminy on the side, and they're using our facilities along with everything else that we have. And from my standpoint, from what I've seen and the way that they conduct themselves, I just don't like it. They were not trained to do what they do, and everything from speeding through school zones to illegal turns, and a lot of these subjects that you probably are much more aware of than I am, some of the things that have hit the newspaper with some of their actions. Personally, if I were you as a school board, I would check their credentials thoroughly and make sure that they're certified to do what they're supposed to be doing. Now, this past year or week, I happened to be a crossing guard at the Tawanka school. I observed a Neshaminy bus coming from one direction toward me at what I considered was a higher than normal rate of speed. The bus went through the zone, went past, turned around, and within 2 or 3 minutes, she was coming from the opposite direction to make a pickup. At that pickup, she did that properly, because I watched her, and she did everything the way it should have been done. But immediately, she sped through the zone toward me, and I gave her sort of an indication to slow down. She gave me such a scowl look on her face and some sort of a gesture that I saw fit at that point that I was going to call or go up to the transportation department and lodge a complaint.
Sir, could you wrap it up in a few minutes? Your 3 minutes are just about up.
All right.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I reported it to the person there, and the person that was in charge, Mrs. Kurtz, was not there. I finally made contact with her in 2 days after they told me that she would call that afternoon, and I didn't get a call until 2 days later at 5:30 at night. And at that point, she wanted me to send an email, and she said that she would take care of the matter. I don't know what's been done beyond that point, but she has the email, and I hope something is done about that. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony Sposato.
One point, when you come up for public comment tonight, there is a court stenographer here, so if you can just give her your name, it'll make it easier.
My name is Anthony Sposato, S-P-O-S-A-T-O. You bet. I live in Middletown Township. I'm a business owner. First, I want to say I realize what a thankless job sitting on the school board can be, especially when you have to make unpopular decisions, that in many cases are best for the district as a whole, but decisions that may have long-term benefits that are not understood until some time has passed. So thank you very much. I'm here, and I apologize for this. I can't be here much later, so I'm going to give my remarks about MAST now. I'm here to support the MAST Charter Schools application. It's my wish that you vote in favor of MAST and give them the opportunity to open a school in the Neshaminy School District. I'm certain the directors of MAST are willing to work with the Neshaminy Board and the administrators to have a harmonious, student-focused relationship that will benefit both entities. I'm also certain that in the end, MAST is going to get the charter anyway. So a cooperative and collaborative atmosphere, I think, can lead to a sharing of resources that will benefit the students and the community, while an adversarial relationship can only lead to legal expenses, school district, and for the school district, and animosity that would certainly cost more in the end. MAST has resources that can benefit the students of Neshaminy, and Neshaminy has resources that can benefit the students of MAST. So I'd like to see us stop being so set in our positions that we can't at least talk to them, have a discussion with them, and see if there's any way to work it out. I realize there are certain mandates from the state that a private school doesn't have to deal with. I'd like to see if there are ways to work around those things. The only way really to deal with issues is to confront them head on, and at least find a way that we may be able to deal with these, or at least try to do it. So all I'm asking is that you speak at least to the principles of MAST. I'm convinced that a Neshaminy-MAST collaboration will positively impact the community and the students of Neshaminy and the community will both benefit. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts.
Steve Rodas.
Good evening. I'm Steve Rodas from Flowers Mill. I am not going to talk about masks at this time. I'll wait for hearing. What I wanted to talk about was the school calendar. And I have a suggestion for future calendars. You ought to plan, in your planning for the calendar, do what other school districts have done, which is plan for 10 emergency closings at the time the calendar is voted upon early on, before the year even starts. Days 1 to 5 are added at the end of the school year. Days 6 and 7 are taken from the winter break, like this week. And days 8, 9, and 10 would be rescheduled at the end of days 1 to 5. This way, everyone in the district knows at the beginning of the school year, or whenever the calendar is approved, that there are plans for 10 emergency days and when they are scheduled. So no one will have to run around and do things but say they don't know anything about it. This way, 10 days will always appear in your planning schedule. I do have a question specific to the lately revised schedule. So my question is, why are June 15th and June 18th early dismissal for elementary students, whereas if they were combined into June 15th, the entire 5 days of teacher training or teacher education could run the entirety of the following week and end on a Friday, rather than have to bring those people back on the Monday, the 25th. Now, you mentioned something about it's a conflict with the state law and other things, but I think the state, in their infinite wisdom, might grant you a waiver for either a half a day or one of the additional days. But I think you're inconveniencing an awful lot of people who have made plans that start on that weekend of the 23rd. Thank you.
Gail Thibodeau.
Mr. Chairman, you want us to wait if we have mass comments? Okay. That's fine.
Charles Alfonso.
Those of you who know me from the past know how much I abhor conflict. So go Jayhawks. I don't have time to stay for the second meeting. I don't. I came here to speak to the board, and as a taxpayer, I think I'm entitled to speak to the board. Many years ago, I saw a charter school in Philadelphia that absolutely blew my mind. The creativity in that school was anything beyond my expectations. The professionalism, the attitude of the kids, their knowledge, their learning experience was incredible. So many years ago, I made an out-of-the-box suggestion to Richie Webb, who was at that time the president of the board. And I suggested to him that Neshaminy maybe should consider turning the keys to every school over to MAST and make Neshaminy the first all-charter school district in the country. That blew his mind. But I must say that looking at the creativity that MAST has demonstrated over the years, including the creativity of finding this location, which is unheard of, but it is natural as the development of the shopping centers that are closing down, they are forced to diversify into other businesses within the malls. That creativity of finding this location is absolutely beyond my comprehension. So, I'm going to say that, because I don't know all of you, I know some of you from the past. I'm going to say that if you have not taken a tour of MAST up to this point, you don't belong in this board. You are doing a disservice to your kids, to our kids. You're wasting taxpayer revenue on a losing battle. So I would really encourage you to make an appointment and take a tour of this incredible charter school. The board is using the same attrition strategy with parents on charter schools that bad teachers use on parents. You have the case of parental complaints about a teacher.
Could you wrap it up, please?
About a teacher, yes, I will. About a teacher, and it goes away when the student moves on to the next grade. The board here is using the same attrition, thinking that when parents of kids graduate from high school, those parents are also going to go away. Well, I got news for you. I'm here, and I'm here in full support of MAST. Thank you.
John McLaughlin.
I would like to speak during the MAST portion. Thank you.
Deb Harker.
Good evening. I'm also here to speak during the MAST hearing, but I would also like to make a request. I don't know if you can do anything a little bit differently, but since the court stenographer is already taking transcription, I was wondering if the two gentlemen that spoke on behalf of MAST earlier today, if their testimony can be inserted into the normal hearing. Is that possible, Mr. Solicitor? They were here to speak.
I
on
don't
behalf of
see
the
any
charter.
problem with that.
I would really appreciate that. I'll reserve my comments for the typical hearing. I would also ask that in case there are any latecomers when that meeting begins, if maybe the sign-up period can be extended for anybody who would like to leave any comments that didn't have the chance to get here before 7 p.m. Thank you.
Wendy Schuhart. Mark Shubin.
Shubin, Mark Shubin, S-H-U-B-I-N, from Middletown, sales executive. Thank you, board members, for serving. We in the community appreciate it. All the hard work you do, we know, and I especially know how difficult and challenging it can be. First off, I want to support Steve Rodas and everything he said. I just want to be known for the record. Whatever he said, I support. I'm going to mention something about mass, and maybe now, and if it's possible, I'll say something later, to be frank. Folks, charter schools in Pennsylvania were built for a reason, okay? They were built because the districts were bad. They weren't performing. They were failing. I'm looking around here, and this school district is not failing. This school district is an excellent school district. We have an incredible school district here. Now, can we do better? No question about it. But it's not time to destroy it. And that's what this bill in the State House that has been created by a mass of lobbyists that are very high paid have built. This bill, this law that we're dealing with in the state of Pennsylvania is
Mark,
a mess.
Not to interrupt, are you staying for the hearings?
I am.
Portion two? Can you reserve the comment for the hearing portion?
Sure thing.
Okay, thank you.
Jason Bauer.
I come here inspired and encouraged by a speech I recently saw by Dr. Jordan Peterson. You can look it up on YouTube. It's called Do Not Despair, Dr. Jordan Peterson. He talks about the courage to speak and the hope for medium and long-term positive consequences. He says it's an existential leap of faith to make these positive changes. 3 years ago was the last time I addressed the school board in opposition to close our elementary school.
Excuse me, sir, did you say where you're from? You said your name, correct?
Jason Bauer?
Yeah.
Do you have my information? Okay.
From where?
I'm
Where
from
you-
Levittown,
Levittown.
Middletown Township.
Thank you.
Okay. The argument to close the school was in part to devote resources to school security. These changes and these closures also led to fifth grade move into middle school. 3 years ago, I mentioned I was bullied during my time at Neshaminy. And 3 years ago, I also saw the dangers of mixing social media and youth bullying and voiced my concern at that meeting. My oldest was in third grade at that time. Last year, 2 months into his fifth grade, I received a call from the middle school. I was told my oldest was on a kill list. No, this list was not on social media. It was in part disseminated through the school's secure supervised email system. I was told the student email system was there for them to collaborate. Millions of dollars have been put into this district and across this country for school security, equipment, policies, procedures, and all. Recently, local and national leaders encouraged students to walk out of school, leaving, compromising, disrupting these security measures en masse and at a predetermined time and date. And this was all an emotional response to an incident of multiple failings of school security. Leaving the school security, leaving the security of what the school has put together to walk out. Does anyone else see the flaws of this emotion-first thinking? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. At this point, I would like to make the following announcements concerning the upcoming hearing. This portion of the meeting is not a regular school board committee or action meeting, but rather it is a formal hearing, and the sole matter to be addressed before the board this evening is the application of Math, Science, and Technology Neshaminy Charter School to operate a charter school in the Neshaminy School District at the Oxford Valley Mall, the existing Sears building. I would like to clarify a few issues with respect to this hearing. To begin, this hearing tonight is properly before the board, and the board in May of 2017 had the jurisdiction to issue a charter to Mass Neshaminy. But since May of 2017, Mass Neshaminy has failed to countersign the charter. Additionally, despite assertions otherwise, the district has attempted to assess the February 16, 2018 formal submission, and I'll put that in quotation marks, formal submission by Mass to comply with the charter school law. Since the February 27, 2018 board meeting, the applicant has not clarified to the district exactly what its formal submission is under the charter school law. Complicating the matter is the fact that Mass Neshaminy failed, as previously mentioned, to execute the charter properly issued by the Neshaminy School District Board of School Directors in May of 2017. And thus, at this time, Mass Neshaminy has no legal authority under the charter school law for the establishment of a charter school in the Neshaminy School District. This is significant as the charter school law imposes certain deadlines with respect to new applications, amended applications, and amending charters. If Mass Neshaminy had countersigned the May 2017 charter signed by this school district, tonight's hearing would be limited to an amendment to an existing charter. In light of the above, there is no other alternative but to treat this formal submission as a new application. This hearing will be conducted in a formal hearing format. Being that this is a formal hearing, the testimony is being transcribed tonight by an official court reporter. She's sitting here in the front row. So all testimony or public comment has to be clear enough so that the court reporter can transcribe it accurately. Gestures, head nodding, those types of actions are not sufficient to be picked up on the record. At this point in time, I would like to review the charter school application process, commonly referred to as Act 22. The charter school law creates a deadline of November 15th to submit an application for the following academic year. The following academic year being considered here is 2019 to 2020. There is a 45-day window after the filing of the application for the Board of School Directors to hold at least one public hearing. This public hearing tonight is the first public hearing within that 45-day period. The next window in that process is the window that starts at the conclusion of tonight's hearing, and that period of time expands from a minimum of 45 days up to a maximum of 75 days for the board to take formal action, either granting or denying the application. The criteria which the board has to consider on the application of Mass Neshaminy is set forth in the charter school law, again, which is Act 22. It delineates and enumerates certain criteria that the board must consider. Those include, number one, demonstrated sustainable support by teachers, parents, and other community members and students, including comments received at the public hearing. Number two, the capability of the applicant to provide comprehensive learning experiences. Number three, the applicant must increase learning opportunities for innovative teaching methods, new opportunities for teachers, and expanded choices for parents and pupils. And number four, the applicant's proposed charter must have the potential to serve as a model for other public schools. The procedure that will be employed for tonight's formal hearing is as follows. The applicant will be afforded an opportunity to make a presentation, and during that time period, I ask that no public or board comment take place during the applicant's case, so the record, again, is clear as possible. After the applicant makes the presentation, there will be an opportunity for public comment, either in favor of or against the proposed charter. After the public comment period, the hearing will be continued to a date certain of April 24th, 2018, at which time the remainder of the hearing, including any cross-examination of the applicant or its witnesses, will take place by the administration, board members, along with the opportunity for the board to present anything it would like to, which is germane to the application. That continued hearing date will be re-advertised pursuant to the school code, charter school law, and Sunshine Act. Next, for the record, I would like to introduce the following board exhibits. NSD 1 is the formal submission of the Mass Neshaminy to the school district by email dated February 16, 2018, including a letter of intent for the Sears building at the Oxford Valley Mall. NSD 2 is a proof of publication for the February 27th, 2018 board meeting. NSD 3 is notice of tonight's hearing. NSD 4 is the affidavit of posting for tonight's hearing. NSD 5 is a letter dated February 27, 2018 from Scott Richardson, Vice President of Simon Properties, to the Neshaminy School District and the board members. NSD 6 is a letter dated March 6, 2018 from me to Mass Neshaminy's council. NSD 7 is a letter dated March 15, 2018 from the applicant's council to me. NSD 8 is another letter dated March 15, 2018 from me to applicant's council. NSD 9 is another letter dated March 20th, 2018 from applicant's council to me. NSD 10 is a letter dated March 22nd, 2018 from the applicant's attorney, again to me. NSD 11 is a letter dated March 26, 2018 from me to, again, applicant's counsel. So at this point, the burden is clearly upon the applicant to make the presentation, and unless any members of the board have any questions at this time, before we proceed, I believe the the applicant can step forward and present as witnesses. Does the board have any questions on that? Okay. Is there anyone here representing the Mass Neshaminy interest? Please step to the podium, state your name for the record.
Members of the board, good evening. My name is Mark Morford, and I am here tonight representing Mass Neshaminy, along with my associate, my colleague, Kevin McKenna, and John Sawyer, who is one of the founders of Mass Neshaminy, as well as John Parsons, who is, as you know, one of the developers for Mass Neshaminy. To clarify from Mass Neshaminy's point of view where we are today, I want to reemphasize what I stated several times in letters that have been entered into the record, including my March 15th, 2018 letter, which is that nothing that Mass Neshaminy has submitted in the last 2 months to the district is a charter application. We have communicated that several times to the district and to your council, and I reiterate it here tonight. By showing up tonight, we are not waiving that position. We are simply showing up here as a courtesy to the district. If the district has questions, from our point of view, the State Charter School Appeal Board has answered any questions about whether the Mass Neshaminy application is sufficient. They found that it was quite some time ago. Our position is that we are here today, that if you have any questions about the facility in the Oxford Valley Mall, that we are here to answer those for you, especially if you have any questions about health, safety, welfare, those sorts of things. I'm also here to indicate that if appears to be some confusion about the timeline for when Mass Neshaminy informed the district that it would be looking for this additional locations. Certainly, Mass Neshaminy first informed the district about the Oxford Valley Mall last month, but a very long time ago, last summer, Mass Neshaminy notified the district that it would be looking for a different facility, and in fact offered to rent vacant district facilities. And to that end, again, without waiving any arguments or objections we have to the fact that we do not believe that this is a properly held hearing, I would like to offer the timeline that we have put together with respect to the communications that we have had with the district about the facility, because there seems to be some confusion about that. And there's also 2 letters attached to that timeline indicating the fact, or demonstrating the fact that Mass Neshaminy contacted the district to try to discuss as long ago as last summer with the district other possible locations. And in fact, the district's council is the one who shut down those communications. We had discussed this matter with the State Charter School Appeal Board previously with their council, and council had requested that Mass Neshaminy and the school district try to work out an agreement with respect to the issuance of the charter. And in fact, we are going to be discussing that again with council for the CAB in 2 weeks, as they have scheduled a call between council for Mass Neshaminy and council for the district. So from our perspective, you know, if we can reach an agreement, we've been continuously attempting to reach an agreement with the district since this process started. And if we can do that, great. And if not, then we'll discuss it with the State Charter School Appeal Board in a couple of weeks. With that, I'd like to offer that into this timeline into evidence. I have copies for each members of the board if additional copies are necessary. You want me to have that marked down here?
Yes, if you could, it's applicant Exhibit 1.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Sawyer. I'm the CEO of Mass Community Charter School, founder of Mass Neshaminy. 5 years ago, we applied for a charter, and as I spoke at the last meeting, we wanted to put the location in front of you for approval. We made that very clear via a letter. It seemed like there was confusion at the last meeting and that you were going to vote on the approval for the property tonight. I want to clarify something in public statement about the charter school and the intention of the charter school. Had nothing to do with failing schools. We never made it into a competition about failing or rankings or percentage. We initially applied with Neshaminy. We said that we offered an alternative option that had multiple innovative practices within our facility. We have had board members of the past through MAST, the initial MAST Byberry campus, and we're very open to working something out with the district so that we could get along
Excuse
as
me,
partners.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. Swear. I wasn't sure. Did the stenographer swear you in?
Okay. Do I have to repeat anything? Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, over the course of the 5 years, we've had multiple interactions with the district. We've had multiple interactions with the board in public fashion. I heard Mr. Shubin speak earlier on charter schools. Mr. Shubin was an initial supporter of the charter school and then changed his mind through the hearing when he was a board member of Neshaminy, and that was all public record back then. So we've been here for a long time. We're simply asking about the property, and I can't make that any clearer. So thank you for the time.
Just to conclude, I think, I'm an attorney, you don't need to swear me in, okay? Sure, Kevin M. McKenna, you're welcome. Just so everybody's clear, it's been a long process. We've always extended the olive branch to the district. It's a good district. Obviously, you either want school choice or you don't. If you're afraid of the competition, you should go on the record and just say that. Obviously, there's support throughout the state. It's a blue ribbon school. The Charter School Appeal Board instructed both the district and MAST to try to come to a resolution on two issues, the length of the charter and the facility. We made your council aware. We actually met with your council. We thought we were making some progress. He abruptly cut off communications with our office as well as the representatives of the school. As the gentleman stated earlier, come take a tour of MAST, see what a good school it is. It's a blue ribbon school. Neshaminy has good schools. MAST is a good school. We're not sure what you're concerned about. That's why we came as a courtesy tonight. Your council was told repeatedly that it was not an application. So to go through this tonight, we're a little perplexed as to why we're here and just not trying to sit down and work it out for the benefit of the kids in your district. Thank you.
At this point, does the applicant have any more testimony or witnesses to present, any documentation? Was that a nothing further? Okay, so you rest at this point? Okay.
We'll open up the public comment now. Just remember, it's public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Approach the podium, and they should identify themselves.
Yes, if you could, please identify yourself for the record, where you reside and any relation to the applicant, MAST Neshaminy.
My name is Mark Shubin. I reside in Middletown, and I'm a sales executive. No relation to the applicant. It's always fascinating when my name's brought up, and for some reason, people forget the facts, or at least to bring it into context. Just real quick, right? Let's think about what's going on here. We're going to send kids to Sears to go to school, folks. We are looking at a competition that is built unfair. Act 22 in itself is unfair. It is unfair because the school district has to fund the charter. Now, how do we recover that money? And I understand, there's no question about it, that you can't vote today or even decide with regard to funds. But we're going to think about sending a large group of kids to Sears. And I remember here how difficult it was for people in this community to wrap their heads around putting fifth graders in middle school, which is a very safe area. And let's remember, folks, we are thinking about sending our kids to Sears. So they get their lawyers, which remember how they're funded. They receive money from the City of Philadelphia, School District of Philadelphia, that gets funneled into them. They pay their attorneys. They build their buildings. I'm not saying they're a bad school. They're a very good school. They do a great job for Philadelphia. If Neshaminy was not doing a very good job, I'd be fine with it. If this was truly choice, I'd be fine with it. This isn't choice. Choice is when you get a voucher and you want to send your kid to any school you want, public or parochial. That is choice. This is regulated choice, regulated by the state of Pennsylvania, by a bunch of well-paid lobbyists that support the charter bill for taking funds away from the district. And I know your budget is difficult. So the question becomes, to the community, how do we address that situation? What programs do we cut? Are we considering now outsourcing our school district in the same way we'd outsource anybody else? Because remember, when you're a charter school, you outsource janitorial services, bus services, everything. But where's the community outrage about that? They come here outraged about when the district considers it, but God forbid, when the district has to consider outsourcing school. Folks, this is a bad move, and I'd like to put it on the record that sending our kids to Sears is not appropriate. Thank you.
Just to follow up on what I was saying before,
Say your name again for the record.
just so that I can sort of tell you the position I'm in is to judge these STA drivers. For a number of years, I was a CDL driver trainer for the
Mr. President,
Neshaminy
must
School
be germane to
District.
the hearing.
Sir, this is about the Mass Charter School right now. There will be a second period for public comment. This is just specific to the charter school right now.
Well, I'm against that also, so I'll
Well,
put
then
that in
you
there.
can stick to that topic. but-
All right,
okay.
thank you.
Wendy Schuhart, can you hear me? Wendy Schuhart, I'm a Middletown resident. I'm employed by Bucks Account or Oxford Valley Pharmacy.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Could you please state if there's any relation to the applicant?
I'm sorry, I have no relation to
Okay.
the applicant.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Everybody can hear me now? My comments were basically about the location for the school charter mast, so this may be something that will be just considered, I guess, in general. Last month when I came to the meeting, I heard that putting the location, the Mass Charter School in Sears would be good for Simon Properties. It would be good for Mass Charter because they could take us off their to-do list, and it would be good for the contractor who was going to convert Sears into the school. There was no comment last month about what was good for our children, and I don't think sending our children to a mall, a failing mall at that, is the right location that we want for our children. How would the security in the parking lot be handled? They mentioned that there would be no access from the school into the mall, but what about the parking lot? Would the parking lot be made private? How do you completely, in a mall situation, how do you completely make sure that the security of our children is maintained and the privacy of our children are maintained? Where would the playgrounds be? Where would the athletic fields be? I just think we are a suburban school district. I understand that there are schools that have challenges with property. We're not one of them. We've got lots of land, we've got lots of property. I don't think that we should put our children in a failing retail mall. Thank you.
Hi, John McLaughlin. I'm a longtime resident of Levittown, 20 years, and I would like you to vote yes.
Sir,
Yes,
any
sir.
state if there's any
Oh,
relation
sorry.
that you have.
No
with-
relation
Okay.
to anyone involved with the charter.
Okay, thank you.
Longtime resident, thank you very much. And I would like you to vote yes on the Mass Charter. Thank you very much.
Hello, Deborah Harker, Middletown Township. I'm a Neshaminy resident and taxpayer. I also, since I supported the school from the very beginning in 2012, joined MAST as a founding parent member. And that's actually how I began my comments. 5 years ago, I came before the board many, many times speaking in favor of MAST Charter School to speak to you as a parent supporter of the school. Due to the delays that have happened over the past 5 years, how the school district has denied the charter over and over again, my son has now aged out of the possibility of attending MAST Charter School, and that's really disappointing to me. Certainly, my son is being educated. However, if we had had a choice, I would have chosen to go to MAST Charter School. So now I come to you today as a taxpayer and resident supporter, also advocating for choice. When I first heard that MAST had chosen the Oxford Valley location, I originally thought it wasn't necessarily my first choice. However, the more I thought about it, this is not a traditional school, so why should the location be set in a traditional setting? No one will be forced for their child to go to MAST Neshaminy. In the traditional school system, which section of Levittown, Langhorne, or Lower Southampton determines which building your child will attend. For parents who want a choice to send their child to a school based on one of the most successful charter schools in the state, their children will choose, those parents will choose to send their children to MAST Neshaminy at the Oxford Valley location. It's a building that's currently available, has the square footage that the school needs, and is really a blank canvas that can ultimately become an innovative space for learning. And just as I supported this board for many years throughout your consolidation projects, moving 5th grade to the middle schools, and also redistricting, I've always said that learning doesn't happen in a specific building. A child doesn't learn because they go to Buck, Tawanka, Sandburg, Neshaminy, or MAST Neshaminy. Learning happens within the minds of our students, inspired by the teachers who feel empowered to motivate, and supported by parents who wish to see their children succeed. On the topic of competition versus partnership, I heard one board member, and I don't remember exactly which one of you said it, say at last month's meeting discussion that the administration of MAST spoke both about competition as well as partnership, and which one is it? The fact is that those two things are not mutually exclusive. Any student who participates in our sports programs will tell you that a good partner works with you,
Wrap it up in a
but
minute, Deb.
also challenges you, drives you, and helps you to do your best to succeed. Since MAST initiated its application 5 years ago, the district has come leaps and bounds expanding its technology offerings to our students. And I fear that without the competition of MAST Community Charter School, this district will fall back into the latency and stagnation that it once did. The fact that the denial and appeal process took 5 years, 3 courts have found that the district had meritless claims against MAST Neshaminy.
Please wrap it up, Deb.
I am wrapping it up, and thank you very much. Real estate changes hands. So this is really just a legal tactic that's being employed by the district. It's not a fair or reasonable way for you to be deliberating. With a new building available at the Oxford Valley location, they currently have a signed letter of intent to take occupancy of the building, and I ask you to please stop the legal wranglings back and forth and allow Mass Neshaminy to proceed with an opening in the 2018-2019 school year. Thank you for allowing me the extra time.
Good evening. My name is Gail Thibodeau. I'm a taxpayer and a resident of the Neshaminy School District. I, like many other parents, 6 years ago, took a tour of Mass Charter School in Northeast Philadelphia and was blown away, as Mr. Alfonso said. I believe in choice, and I still support Mass coming to Neshaminy. I don't understand, or actually I'm curious to know how much in legal expenses has been wasted over the last 6 years fighting the inevitable. I'm confused. I was at last month's meeting. I thought tonight was for you folks to approve the location and to go back in the dark ages and say the application process has to start all over again. I just don't understand that. So I would encourage you all to, like Mr. Alfonso said, if you haven't visited Mast, go down there and take a look. You will be impressed, and I think the high standards that they have there, the long waiting list that they have at their school for only 99 seats in their school, I think it can only make Neshaminy better, and I encourage you to vote in support of moving forward. Thank you.
Steve Rodas. I live in the Villages of Flowers Mill. I have no relation to anybody here in any way, shape, or form. It's funny, you know, this is probably the first time I've ever agreed with the board's legal counsel. This is really, under the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, they said that the Charter Appeal Board has no jurisdiction in this kind of matter. And Tim Eller, an executive director of the Keystone Alliance for Public Charter Schools, says that the Supreme Court ruling sets a precedent now for any charter school that wants to amend its charter to either increase enrollment or relocate. The school district now has a loophole where they can ignore the request for an amendment to the charter. And my understanding of this case says that the charter school law does not permit charter schools to unilaterally change charter agreements or seek court approval to do so. And to me, one of the key questions is, and I don't, you know, it may have been answered, it may not have been answered, but I don't know if there's been any in-depth discussion with the school board as to the site that has been chosen. My understanding is there were 3 or 4 sites set forth originally, all of which fell through in the time that it took the charter school to get its approval from the appeal board and go back to you. Those 3 sites or 4 sites fell through. And I don't believe they should unilaterally be able to change sites and have you just approve every one without some type of in-depth investigation as to what's involved as far as what they set up as for special needs children, egress and ingress, and township building requirements. So I think you're doing the proper thing by at least following the law. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rita Bakshi, R-E-I-T-A, B-A-K-S-H-I, no relation to the applicant. I was one of the early supporters of MAST. I have visited MAST. I was really impressed with MAST. And I was one of the parents at that time running around town getting signatures on the petition. I recently found out about the location that they have chosen, and I have a major issue with that. Especially in today's day and time, I don't think we should be even considering having a school by a mall. Unless you can create a fortress, I don't think you can. I think that's a really bad idea. And if that is the location, I would actually implore the board to reject this charter. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ben Schuhart. I'm a marketing manager. I live in Middletown Township. I find myself in a really strange position because I understand that MAST is a
Ben, I'm
wonderful-
sorry, could you state if you have any relation to the applicant?
I have no relation to anybody here. Again, I find myself in a very strange position because I can't argue that MAST isn't an excellent school. Clearly, they've set the standard for charters. I also can't argue with any parent who wants the best opportunity for his or her child. I mean, we all want that, right? But I just feel like as I see all this unfold, something needs to be said, and the untold part of the story is that we have a great system with Neshaminy. I've watched a child go from kindergarten through 12th grade. There are wonderful opportunities at our very excellent community public school, and I just don't hear enough people talk about that. The reality is we wouldn't be here tonight if we didn't have a terrible contract situation and let's face it, a 5-year battle with the NFT. And I just think it's a shame that we can't understand that that's water under the bridge. We've moved on. We've made great strides to repair that relationship, and we have a wonderful product. And I'd hate to see us kind of walk away from that and diminish the district because of, in my mind, a battle that was fought a long time ago, and it's over. It's time to move away. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Lauren LaRoe. I have no relation to the applicant. I'm the parent of a Neshaminy school student. He actually goes to Maple Point, and I have a master's degree in education from the University of Pennsylvania. I've studied charter schools, and I can understand the value that charter schools can sometimes provide school districts when they're failing. Neshaminy School District is one of the best districts in the country. I don't understand why we're messing with a good thing. I don't see any reason why we need to introduce charter schools, and I really appreciate that the school board initially rejected their application. I don't understand why a court of appeals that's appointed by an assembly in Harrisburg can override local municipalities. That doesn't seem right to me. And when I hear that the charter wants to be in a mall, just a few weeks ago, I got a call from my son's principal saying that there was a suspicious rumor that Middletown police had to investigate. Thank God that rumor turned out to be much ado about nothing, and the students were safe. But I can't imagine opening up a school in a mall when we close schools down for voting day. Okay, we don't let students be in the building when the public is coming in to vote. How on earth can we have a school where the public goes shopping on a daily basis? How on earth can we keep our students safe? There's no way that we can, and the application should be rejected based upon that. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Do you have to swear me back in as a public comment? Do you have to swear me back in as public comment this time?
There's no problem with that. Just remember, you're still sworn, though, okay?
Okay, thank you. So to address the concerns of a mall, so I think a couple things. First of all, the Neshaminy School District mission statement, it looks like to me from reading just based off of this, people learn in different ways at different rates. So first off, the idea that we were looking at a mall location, we offered to have a discussion, as I mentioned in the last meeting, about Neshaminy closed schools, because you guys do have a lot of properties and a lot of land, and we offered that in the fall before we submitted the mall property. The other thing is, in terms of a mall, I think people are thinking traditionally in terms of a space. Mast on Byberry Road is not just one of the best schools in Pennsylvania, it was one of 342 blue ribbon schools in the nation. In terms of Neshaminy School District being a very good district, I would agree. Neshaminy has a very good school model, K-12, but it's much different than what we offer at Mast. In terms of rankings and being competitive, we're not here about that, but you can look it up on U.S. News and World Report to see where we rank and how we've been able to get to where we've been. But in terms of the property, which is why we were here tonight, and the way people think, in Plymouth Meeting Mall, they put a Lego zone last year. Lego chose to go to a mall because it doesn't look at a mall as a traditional place. You go to an Apple store, where is it located? The mall. We're encouraging students to participate and work in places like this throughout their high school careers. A mall. The best paying jobs in the mall, the Apple store for kids, for high school students. Part of our model is that our students would participate in the mall and work in the mall. So when we look at that space, I think you have to kind of close your eyes and get, somebody mentioned a failing mall. It's not going to be a mall. They're transforming malls today to be different spaces. And if you look across the country, and if you look at the Mass Neshaminy page, we posted an article last week that focuses on how they're revolutionizing what malls are today, which is why we chose this as the new location, since none of the Neshaminy properties were available and we had to offer a swapped property. As far as security is concerned, we would be owning the building and securing the property much like you would secure a school. And I would make an argument that there would probably be less entries to the mall location for the school than there is in the Neshaminy High School. Thank you.
Going once.
Tim Locke. I live in Levittown, and I'm no relation to anybody in this room, and nobody will deny that. That last comparison blows my mind. To the best of my knowledge, you're not dropping off kindergarten kids at the Lego store and leaving them. I can't believe, it just blows my mind. I mean, the mall thing is ridiculous, and I just pray that you guys shoot this down. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Caldwell. I live in Pendle, PA. I am a nursery school teacher. I also have a daughter who went through Neshaminy School as a special needs student. When I went home from the last school board meeting and told her what you guys have been thinking about with the charter school, she said, "Great, Mom, charter schools are good, but there's no way I'd put my child in school at a mall." Thank you.
Anyone else?
I would just like to take the opportunity to address a few things Mr. McKenna and Mr. Morford had mentioned. Number one, there is no confusion by the district with respect to the timeline on the original MAST application up to the present date. Number two, the school district did not abruptly cut off any negotiations. Point in fact, the school district, through my office, has requested at least 3 times for a clarification of what this formal submission is, and to date we really don't know what that formal submission is. And there are a lot of requirements, hearing deadlines, decision deadlines in the charter school law that this board must comply with. So essentially that's why we're here tonight, because we had to consider this a new application based upon the lack of communication from Mass and Neshaminy on that issue. Number three, the hearing tonight, it was necessary, again, as I previously mentioned, because Mass Neshaminy did not execute the charter issued in May of 2017 by the Neshaminy School District Board of School Directors. If that was countersigned, we'd be talking about an amendment to an existing charter, which, quite frankly, to date, there's not an existing legal charter and no legal authority at this point for Mass Neshaminy to operate within the school district boundaries. So with that said, since the applicant has nothing else to present, as previously mentioned, the hearing will be adjourned and continue to April 24, 2018 in this auditorium. And I would like to remind the board that the hearing is still open and that the board is required to wait at least 45 days from today's date to render a decision in this application. So with that, I'd like to turn the meeting back over to the board president.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Solicitor. We're now going to go back to the agenda, item number 3, which would be routine matters. And I would like to make a motion to accept items number 3.01, the minutes.
Second.
I'm going to do them all. I'm going to do them bulk. 3.02, Treasurer's Report. 3.03, Check Register and Procurement Card Purchases. 3.04, Budget Transfers. 3.05, Bids. 3.06, Investments. 3.07, Exonerations.
Can I second it now? I'll second it.
Any questions, comments, or observations? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. Personnel certificated, and make a motion to accept item 4.01, retirements, resignations, end of assignments. 4.02, leaves of absence. 4.03, revised leaves of absence. 4.04, appointments. 4.05, co-curricular resignations. 4.06, co-curricular appointments. 4.07, ancillary appointments. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hollenbach. Any questions, comments, or observations?
I'd just like to make a note, publicly identify 3 people that are retiring. 2 people have 25 years of service with the district. Another person has 29 years of service with the district. We just want to express from the board that our appreciation for your service to Neshaminy. Thank you.
Passes 9-0. Personnel support, Mrs. Hollenbach.
I'd like to make a motion to approve items 5.01, which is retirements, resignations, end of assignments, 5.02, leave of absence, 5.03, revised leave of absence, 5.04, appointments, 5.05, co-curricular appointments, and 5.06, ancillary appointments.
Can I get a second? Questions, comments, or observations? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 9-0. Educational development, Ms. Boyle.
I'd like to make a motion to approve items 6.01, which is the revised 2017-18 school calendar and the 2018 graduation date. 6.02, which is the summer programs 2018 proposal. 6.03, and the Neshaminy School District Virtual Academy. And 6.04 is overnight trips.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Questions, comments, or observations?
I had a question in regards to what Mr. Rodas asked. Was that even a possibility to be considered, to have the elementary kids go a full day on Friday instead
No,
of
that
2
would-
half days, so that so the teachers could be done on Friday
Yes.
like it was requested?
No, it wouldn't satisfy our time requirements.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. Business operations, Mrs. Hollenbach.
I'm reading these out separately, correct? 7.01, Sunday facility usage. Whereas according to Board Policy 800, facilities fields may not be scheduled on Sundays without school board approval. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the Sunday usage for the following: Our Lady of Grace track team, use of the stadium track on Sunday, April 6th, 15th, 22nd, and 28th, I'm assuming it's supposed to be, 2018? Right. Langhorne, Neshaminy United Soccer, use of Maple Point Middle School soccer fields on Sundays throughout the year, January 1, 2018 through January 1, 2019. And Wild About Dance competition, use of Pequessing Middle School auditorium on Sunday, April 22nd.
Can I get a second?
A second, but did we get clarification on that last date?
I'm checking. 1 second. Can we change that last date as a date in April to be determined?
What about the first date? Because it's a Sunday usage, and it's April 6th, which is a Friday, so it should be April 8th, probably.
It would appear that we should have 8 and 29, I guess, right? If we're going by sevens? Yeah.
Or Sundays, yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's do that.
Okay. So make a motion to accept that revised Sunday sales usage, Sunday usage.
Yeah, I'm so moved.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 7.02, acceptance of donation. Whereas the Neshaminy Kids Club has offered to donate a rock climbing wall cover at Joseph Furtibar Elementary. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves to accept the aforementioned donation from the Neshaminy Kids Club valued at approximately $2,850.
Can I get a second? Any questions or comments?
I just want to again commend Neshaminy's Kids Club for always stepping up for the kids in Neshaminy. They constantly, every year, bring money back into the district to help our kids, and they're a great organization and great partners with Neshaminy.
All in favor? Opposed? Passes 9-0.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 7.0 through the Bucks and Montgomery Healthcare Consortium. Whereas the Neshaminy School Board District is a current participant in the Bucks and Montgomery County Schools Healthcare Consortium, and whereas the Bucks and Montgomery County Schools Healthcare Trust Agreement requires participating districts to provide notification prior to the end of March if there is an intention to leave the consortium. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy School Board of Directors hereby approves the Neshaminy School District's withdrawal from the Bucks and Montgomery County School Health Care Consortium effective June 30th, 2018, and authorizes the Director of Human Resources to send the appropriate notification to the consortium.
Second.
Questions, comments, observations?
I would ask the chair that the business committee maybe give a short explanation of the reason the district's moving in this direction. Is that possible?
I think it is.
At the business operations meeting that we held last Friday, we had two insurance consultants. I was going to say brokers, which I know is not right. Consultants come out and review our costs for the consortium versus if we did another avenue, and there was substantial savings if we got out of the consortium. So that's what we decided to do, approximately anywhere between $1 and $2 million. It's also been noted that there are already 7 districts that have already put in their request to be withdrawn from the consortium. So we're just going to have another look to see if our rates were going to go up even further than they've already gone up so far. We've already had 3 looks, and we're going up to a 4th look.
Thank you very much.
got it. It was good. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 9-0.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 7.04 Healthcare and Prescription Benefits Consultant. Whereas the Neshaminy School Board desires to utilize the knowledge of experienced insurance consultants to help guide district decisions, and whereas the Board's Business Operations Committee reviewed proposals and interviewed interested parties, and whereas the Business Operations Committee provided the recommendation of a consultant to the full Board, now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy School Board of School Directors hereby approves retaining Stalker and Associates as the district's consultant for the matters related to employee health care and prescription benefit plans at a cost of $2,000 per month.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Brings us to policy. Ms. Boyle?
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 8.01, which is the Board Policy Series 700, which is property, and 8.02, which is retirement of existing NSD policies.
Second? Anyone have a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion. Yeah, was turning this way. Motion passes 9-0. Okay. Anyone have any other board business? That brings us to the second comment period. Please remember, keep your comments to 3 minutes. Approach the podium, state your name and where you live.
Steve Rodas, I live in Flowers Mill. My questions are addressed to Barbara about the check payments. Could you explain, I'm sure there's a reason somewhere, why we paid Aramark $131,953, which was number 3680. I thought they're supposed to be paying us under the agreement. No? Okay. Why did Attleboro get a $95,000 refund? Was that an appeal from them? That was an appeal that they won? Or that was a settlement? Yeah? Okay. And I'd like you to explain the difference between tuition and special ed services as they apply to the IU. And the final one was, I thought that we were self-insured for workers' comp, but there's a $243,000 payment in there for workers' comp. So I just want to know if that's how we do it, or is that something in addition? Finally, am I under the impression that you're going to make that last day for the elementary school full day so that you can't do that? Oh, okay. I got the wrong impression from what was said then previously. Okay, thank you.
Follow up on what I had to say before about the STA drivers. My observation is based on the fact that I was a driver trainer, state certified for the Neshaminy School District for quite a few years. And I feel I'm well qualified to understand how these people operate our vehicles. Upon the observation that I've seen, if they were taking their test and did the same things that I've seen, they would fail. So from that standpoint, I think you people should really look at their performance and give every consideration to the people that we have. Thank you.
Mark Shubin, Middletown, sales executive. So I haven't been here in a while, members of the board, and I figured it's a good time to make some observations of the district as I see them, taken for what it's worth. As a parent of two girls, one in Maple Point and one going to Maple Point, there's some things I think that we should be working on. First and foremost, I still think that there's needing a lot of work for particularly keyboarding work earlier on in elementary. I think we're missing an opportunity there. And I think we're missing an opportunity in foreign language as well. I have an opportunity to talk to a lot of other folks, friends of mine, who have kids in neighboring districts, and I don't think we're teaching enough foreign language early enough. I know we made some cuts a number of years ago in the foreign language space, and I think that really needs to be evaluated, because foreign language is really critical in the future, for kids' opportunities. So foreign language, keyboarding early, to be frank, so I took some visits around Maple Point. The science technology piece in the middle schools, I think, need a lot of work. And I know you just hired a new curriculum person, Dr. McGee, for secondary education, and there's no question that we've got to think about it as if we've got to do better. We've got to improve that space, because we're just not where we need to be. I think it's improved, it's gotten better, but we need to think about it as continuous improvement. And there's a lot of opportunity there and a lot of great teachers that want to do some things, but I think we need to benchmark ourselves among some of the other districts in the community and look at getting creative and innovative in that space, in the secondary space. Elementary schools, I think we're doing some really interesting things in science, technology, education, but I think middle schools where we need some work. High school, tremendous. I mean, you guys got to be commended about what's happening in that high school. That building has come a long way. Dr. McGee, that administration, the teachers, I mean, it's been an amazing effort. I've seen how well that school's done, and it's, everybody should be commended on where Neshaminy High School is, but not satisfied. And finally, I just want to comment on what I think has been an extraordinary effort here in Neshaminy around security. I've seen where it was when we first hired a security director here, and I think we are in a very good position. Now, never be satisfied because of what's going on in society today, but I think from a security standpoint, I like the drills we're doing with the kids, and I really appreciate the effort we're doing to make security top of mind. So thank you guys for your hard work, and we appreciate it.
Good evening, Deborah Harker, Middletown Township. I'd like to respectfully ask that Mr. Shubin's most recent comments also be added into the official transcripts for the Mass Charter School application. He just made some wonderful comments. We're not doing enough in our elementary schools. We're not even doing keyboarding. My child never even had keyboarding in elementary technology. Mr. O'Connor, a former school board member, ran on a platform of elementary technology that he was never able to implement due to the stagnation within this district and its budget limitations. Mr. Shubin also just spoke about the limitations of science, technology, and math within the middle schools. I concur. My student just left the middle school, and we're nowhere near where we need to be. He's absolutely 100% correct. And I would think that his comments that he just made are further evidence that we need competition of Mass Community Charter School with an emphasis in math, science, engineering, technology. If we do not have that competition and that partnership to work along with us and to drive us to do better, we're going to fall back into a stagnation that I misspoke earlier that I said that we once were in, we're still in. We have so far to go. Don't let us get held back by having no opportunity for competition. So I would like my comments that I just spoke and Mr. Shubin's comments that he previously just spoke entered into the official transcripts. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tara Huber. I live in Huntington Valley. I'm a teacher in this district and the president of the union. And it is with great sadness that I share Len Alborn, our friend and colleague, passed away unexpectedly on Saturday, March 3rd, 2018. He was survived by his beloved wife, Carol, and the pride and joy of his life, his children, Andrew and Olivia. Len was a social studies teacher in the Neshaminy School District for almost 30 years, most of which was spent at the high school. He also taught at the Tawanko Learning Center for several years, where he was able to pursue his professional passion, working with students in crisis. In addition, he worked with a team of Neshaminy teachers at Today Incorporated for 18 years, educating youth in addiction recovery. Len was an avid sports fan who enjoyed spending time with his family at their home in Vermont. He will be remembered as an endearing, witty, and supportive colleague, teacher, and friend. I'm respectfully requesting that the opening of the next board meeting that we have in a moment of silence for Len, and if you could consider a board commendation in his honor, we'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, how much I miss these meetings. I just want to make a point, if I can, since my name was mentioned recently, and I think I should, Mr. President, give a little leeway since my name was brought up and my comments were brought out of context.
Only one comment per session.
Okay,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you.
No, I don't think so. Is it? Oh, it's policy. I'll go to policy. What's policy? Can they? Well,
But as far as any board meeting, but
no, sir, you're done too. Only one
well,
comment
there
per
was
session.
another employee that was
Sir.
here for 35 years.
Sir, I have to cut you off. You already spoke in the second session. It's only one comment per session.
Well, Mrs. Carol Hartman passed, and I think that some people here might have known her because she worked here for
Thank you, sir.
35 years.
All right, thank you. All right. That brings us to the board comment section.
I'll start off. I want to thank everyone for coming out and participating. Gentleman that spoke earlier spoke about security in the school. We take that very seriously. We don't discuss our security issues publicly for that reason. It's of course our goal up here that every child has a safe learning environment. We do our best to try and provide that. We've invested in lots of, call it hardware, over the couple of years to trying to make the entry, and exits into the schools, safer, more reliable. But the real safety comes from our staff that's there every day, working with our kids, whether it be our certified staff, our teachers, our support staff that's in the building, our administrators, always knowing their students, keeping a vigilant eye out there. And, it's horrific, what's happening in some places today. And we're trying our best to make sure that every child's experience here is safe. And if, as a parent or a resident, if you ever feel that there's a situation where that's not being held up, please contact the administration with your concerns and or us here at the board, to make sure that those concerns are taken seriously and looked after, checked into. I want to apologize. During the meeting, I got my retirements mixed up. I missed that we've also had 6 members of our certified staff retire this year, service between 21 and 35 years. Again, much appreciated for your years of service at Neshaminy, and sorry I missed you during the comment period of those emotions. You know, where we are as far as educationally is leaps and bounds from where we were when we got here. School districts should always be regarded as an ever-evolving process. We never want to be static. We want to be dynamic at all times. And in doing so, we try and employ people to carry that mission out. We work within our budget limitations, which are always never enough. And we try and allocate those resources where our professionals, being our administration, deem they should go. I am greatly proud of where this district is going. Some of the work that I hope, as a board member, we can share that we've had a hand in helping us move in that direction and will continue to do. As many people spoke about their children, my children have had excellent experiences here at Neshaminy. They didn't attend kindergarten here, but they went through the 1st and 12th grade programs. Both of them ended up in engineering school, one at Drexel, the other one at Temple. You know, so we must be doing something right here. But the message is we never stay static. We always want to improve, but we can only sometimes improve in the resources that we have available. So we have to make sure that our tax base can be able to support us in those revenues, that we can have those resources, because trying to reach for something that's not obtainable to afford for it is only going to fail. We've taken many different approaches over the last 3-4 years through what's typically called the consolidation process to make sure those resources are secured and going into the classroom. And I think, you know, that we can all say that there has been great improvement, and it's not, you know, solely one person. It's the staff, the teachers, the administrators, the board support, the community support, all working towards, you know, that goal to make sure our kids go out into this world and have the tools that they need to be able to become productive, lifelong citizens and make their way through life. So thank you all again for coming out, and I appreciate your participation.
I just had to add a couple comments here, a couple quick things. To add to comments Mr. Piratano just made, one of the comments I made from this seat, wow, I guess it might even been my last term, and I've done it since. I personally am never going to be satisfied until we are in the upper echelon of the state as a school district. I actually said there's no reason in my mind for what we've invested in this district, for the community we have behind our schools, why we aren't number one. Always seems everybody looks at it and says, well, you know, the richier suburbs of outside Philadelphia, the West, you know, they have more resources. I disagree with that. I say we have it right here, and again, I won't be satisfied until we've reached that top. That being said, I think we have made tremendous strides in the last few years. I'm proud of the influence I may have had in that. And I do want to reiterate, it's never going to be an ending process. All right, that being said, I see that we have announced the date for the STEAM Expo. I see it is April 19th at the high school, 6:30. I just noticed it before I came to the meeting tonight. I'd urge everyone to come out there. That's an area I'm particularly fond of, our engineering department, our science, technologies, math, and the arts. I urge everyone to come out and see what our students are doing. And you'd be pretty amazed. I love getting out there and getting into discussions with our students. They love showing off the projects and the crafts they've made. I like to pick a little closer and figure out what was their thought process, what brought them to do that project. So again, I urge everyone to do that. Wrapping up, I do want to make comment about the school board recognition dinner that a number of us went to last evening. Ms. Boyle, Mr. Kovitz and his wife, Cindy, myself, Joe, representing the district. We sat with a few other school board directors. We had some interesting conversations. It's interesting to get a perspective from outside. Everyone has their issues within their school district. It's fun, I guess, the opportunity to ask us questions about what's going on in here. But it was a wonderful night, and the rest of you, I urge you, when you're invited next year, pencil it in. It's a good time had by all. And other than that, thank you all for coming out. Exceptionally long meeting. Appreciate all the comments, pros and cons. Take all that under advisement. Thank you much. Good evening.
I'd like to comment a little bit, piggyback on something that Mr. Allen said. It's really an honor and a privilege to be part of the joint committee for Bucks County Technical High School. Those kids are an extension of our district here, and they do an amazing job. Their food services program, they fed us really well. They took pride in what they did, and it was just a well-attended event. Seeing kids being able to rise to that occasion. My wife and I took in a play, a musical there, about a week prior, and it was very well done. Again, just because they're in Tech High School doesn't mean they can't sing and dance their hearts away, and what a great job they did. Also, myself being a recovering engineer and rocket scientist, I also have a fondness for the STEAM Expo. I've been working with Mr. Jeanette, and who's been behind running that with a few other folks for the past 4 years. It is, as a father who has a child who is very inclined towards science, technology, engineering, art, and math, it's a wonderful experience, and he's always been inquisitive. And for those people who have kids or grandkids in the district that are of the age between kindergarten and 6th grade, it's almost like one of those old classic world fairs. There's something for everyone. There are hands-on exhibits, and I really look forward to going back there every year. So I look forward to attending. One last thing in regard to security. It is a huge issue, and I think it's a burden on us to make sure that our kids are safe. In light of recent events in Florida, I was up all night. I was contacted by several public officials, and the following day talking about it. And it's a very fine line that I understand that the administration, the teachers, and the students have to walk. I was very honored on March 14th to be part of a really well-ran event. I have to hand it to the superintendent for walking that fine line, and also Dr. McGee over at the high school for allowing the kids to have a space and a safe space where they could express themselves. I was able to attend as 2 juniors at our high school led the day of led the 17 minutes to express themselves. It was a beautiful thing. Not a single adult said anything. It was all done by the students, and it gives me a lot of encouragement, a lot of hope, and a lot of faith in our own district. Again, I keep going back to us being an incubator for innovation and talent. We have a lot of it here, and these students, it's interesting to see some of these kids as being future leaders of our world. So again, it's a great thing. And one last thing, for anyone who wants to know about new programs and things that we constantly do to keep ourselves, we're all works in progress. This district is a work in progress. And the Educational Development Committee, that's our particular incubator for, from the administration and from the board standpoint of innovation and talent. There's some amazing programs that are in progress. If you want to see, if you want to see your district really working for you and working for your kids and grandkids, I strongly encourage you to come on out. That's it.
Yes,
Okay. I'm going to answer Mr. Rodas. The hour mark, we do pay them monthly. We pay them for their services, for supplies that they purchase, the food, and we receive all the revenues. The Attleboro, it was a real estate assessment appeal, so we had to pay them. Tuition and special ed services to the IU. Special ed services are the services that we pay them for, that they're educating our children. And the tuition are the alternative schools that are billed through the IU. And workers' comp, we are self-insured, but we have to put money into our trust, so that was putting the money into the trust. That's it.
If no one else has anything further, I make a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.